Hi, Joe.
We live?
We're
You
live.
good?
We should be
Hi
good.
everyone that may or may not be watching. Can we
Hi.
can we see live who's in the chat at all?
You can click and see that people are in the chat. So right now, there's a couple of us in the chat. I'm in the chat.
I am.
I don't even have it open. I'm a villain. You know what I'll do? I'll open it on my phone. That way I'm not using all my screen stuff. He said confidently.
That's not what I wanted to do. Thanks, Firefox.
Yep. Firefox. Firefox is probably better. Okay, so let me get this. Hey, guess what? Joe wasn't ready. It's okay. It's too late.
It happens.
Yeah. What do? I go here and I click on this. There we go. No, you open Twitch in Twitch. No, you
All right.
open Twitch in Twitch.
Now I hear double talk. You must have Twitch open.
Yep. Don't worry, I muted it
Mute it, Joe. Gosh, why are you like this?
because I'm a terrible person.
Professional streamer.
There's 4 viewers. That's us. Yeah, I'm gonna be such a professional streamer. You don't even know. Okay, so we're putting this up on YouTube, probably. Correct.
I think we'll do that.
Right. So I'll start, mostly for the 4 extra people that will watch this on YouTube. Hi everyone, I'm GM Joe. Drinking and Dragons, NLCRPG.com. And
Org. It's .org.
we'll
.org?
fix it in post.
We'll
.org.
dub this later.
Yeah.
No, we won't.
No, we won't. And we're going to go ahead and try out the new edition of Deadlands that just came out that some of us don't know at all. And that 2 of us kind of know because one of us kickstarted it, backed it. I'd be Wes. And today's session 0, we're just going to make characters, and I'm going to explain the world building I've done, the kind of things we're going to keep in Deadlands, the kind of things we're going to omit. The classic session 0 where we talk about all of our triggers and our hopes and fears and what our limits are.
Literally your worst nightmare, because that's step 9.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah,
Oh.
step 9 of character creation. Your worst nightmare or your character's worst nightmare.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna get right into it and read for you the little spiel. Actually, you guys can go around and talk about yourselves while
I'm Wes. I'm the one who does the website and most of the social media posts. If you're here from Twitter, it's because I put you there.
Hi, Wes. That was
Hi.
good. That was better than mine.
I guess.
I'm Dan, and for those of you watching, that is not just a picture. I am just incredibly good at staying very, very still and talking with my mouth closed.
The ventriloquism is really coming along. Good job.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's progressed.
Very, very, very professional.
I guess. Hi, I'm Jeanette. I am responsible for bookkeeping, and I'm the one who managed to get us live on stream today. So.
Yep.
Someone had to.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, Jeanette is the mama bear, like keystone, just the glue that keeps everything together.
I'm the Wendy to the Lost Boys.
That's a good one. I am a lost boy.
Yeah, that's pretty true.
We're in the internet right now. It's very hot all of
I
a sudden.
know.
Turn up your air conditioner. That's what I did.
What?
I said turn up your air
Oh,
conditioner.
I think you said turn off. I was like, you monster. I
That is
can't.
That is the opposite of what I said.
Yeah, I know. It's right here in the window. So I'm actually very nice, but I can't turn it up anymore, or the mic is going to be very upset.
Yeah, sure.
I did actually do some experimentation. Okay.
You know,
So-
we did reset your mic, so at least now it's not picking up the air coming from behind it. So
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be a lot better for my Sunday game, which has been okay. Anyway, all right. Let's see if I can read this and not fuck it up. Lafayette is usually a lot busier this time of night. The small working bars and gambling parlors pouring chatter into a street full of musicians, churning together the scent of street food. But tonight, it's quiet and lonely. Tonight, there's only stragglers here and there. And that's when you hear it. A wolf's howl that cracks like thunder and makes your muscles tense all at once. It's the third night a full moon has risen over New Orleans. Hopefully, it will also be the last. That is the pitch. Thank you. So it is 1876, New Orleans. New Orleans is a sprawling burg. Since they don't have an updated New Orleans for this new edition, I sort of just wrote some of my own stuff that might have happened against, what I know in Deadlands history. Basically, it's still very important to trade. Things are constantly moving up and down the Mississippi. All sorts of goods get off at New Orleans and travel inland, away from the river. New Orleans has a bustling steam engine industry because it must maintain and repair all of the river traffic, which is all steamboats at this moment, some of which powered by ghost rock and other mad science, perhaps. Generally, it is an integrated town. I didn't really want to play a lot with race and tension, and I kind of want this to be like a feel good sort of step away from reality and relax type of game. If that's cool with everyone.
Sure.
That
So-
works for me.
Yeah.
agreed.
I think it'd be nice to make a little safe space. So the only horror and terror coming from this Deadlands will be actual monsters with fangs and such. I posted a map I found online. I literally just looked into an 1876 map of New Orleans by a gentleman named Gray. Which is very nice. And also you can tell it's a scan because it has some like stains. But it's really cool. I'm gonna see if I'm gonna figure out where I got it from. Track it down and see if we can post it up because it's super awesome. It sort of gives you the idea of the scope. It's just the river and just this huge sprawl of different boroughs that sort of just like built out, and they sort of crash into each other at different weird angles.
It's like they're all like vying for riverside property, and they just go straight back.
Yeah, yep, it's awesome.
Yeah, I wish I knew more about New Orleans because I've never been there, and I would love to have like a mental visual. But
Yeah,
I think I can get by on like movie tropes alone. I can put myself there.
I think that's what we're all gonna do is movie tropes and
Pretty much, yeah.
And for whatever
I've only been there once. I was there for a couple of hours on a road trip, and we made a stopover in the French Quarter for just a little bit. Had some food, had some drink, and then hit the road.
Yeah, and off again.
Mm-hmm.
we should all go to New Orleans, you guys.
Yeah.
After the pandemic.
Yeah, after post-pandemic, I've made so many weird post-pandemic plans with people
As you should be doing.
to go places that are far away.
Excellent.
Fair.
I think we're all just cooped up. So you'll see the classic. Wes has played Deadlands with me a bunch. And I keep to like movie tropes. I'm gonna do some stupid voices, most of them, like the classic old gold panner. Oh, yo, whippersnappers. There'll be some goofy shit like that because I love that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And as we build characters, you guys will naturally, as it happens, ask me questions and I will fill in answers.
Yeah.
So I will start by saying there was a cool blurb in the new Deadlands book that I really liked. Let's see if I can find it. It's very early on in the book about the Explorers. There we go, the Explorer Society. So the Explorer Society is in Savage Worlds, hence the last edition was the Explorers edition. It's sort of this meta group that you can find somewhere written about, even if it's in a small blurb, in the various Savage Worlds campaign settings. And it's literally just a built-in excuse to be heroes and to hang out together. So it reads, and I think this is the first time it shows up in Deadlands.
Yeah, because I don't remember hearing about it in the last edition.
Yeah, no, the last edition held on to some of that. Just make characters and go for it. LOL.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yep. So a group called the Explorer Society has gained some notoriety for trapping and cataloging the creatures of the West, many of which have only been discovered in the last few decades, like California maze dragons and giant worms called Mojave rabbits. Adventurous types are encouraged to look into membership, especially if they want to know how to deal with such critters should they come across them in the sun-baked deserts, frigid mountains, and lonely prairies. So, fantastic hook. I would like to, with all of your permissions, just assume all of your characters are already members of the Explorer Society and have just landed in New Orleans recently.
Is the Explorer Society like an edge that you need to take?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
If it is, I'm totally willing to give it to you guys for free.
Okay.
I
don't remember seeing it.
I'm not seeing it in the Deadlands one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
who knows whether or not it might be in the Savage Worlds itself.
I don't think I saw it there either. But I know like rangers and agents and
Yep. Yeah,
those are actual edges. So I do have a question. Is it possible to belong to like two distinct societies? So if I wanted to be like part of the Rangers, is it also okay that I am part of the Explorer Society, or is that going to conflict?
No, that's fine. That so right now we're just doing the one adventure, but
okay.
that's good for like if this happens to expand and we keep going.
Right.
That's just good character like narrative conflict.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there is an Explorer Society edge in the main book either. So I think it's just a story thing.
Right. Yeah, I got it.
Yep.
And then, so you guys were looking at this book earlier. Do you all kind of know what you were looking to make character-wise?
So I was looking, and I was gonna use one of the
the pre-gens.
The pre-gens, because I'm new and I haven't
Yep.
done this before. So,
Yeah.
so if I'm looking at the pre-gens that we were sent, that's basically my character, right? Kind of in a little
Yes.
nutshell. Sweet.
Pretty much, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm the newbie player who's going to go with that because it's easier to figure out the pre-gen right now.
Yeah, that's fine.
And you're doing the blessed
Yes, I decided to go with the blessed.
creature.
Okay.
Now, what is the blessed? So I'm looking at from like Joe. Like, can you explain what like a
Yeah.
blessed character in Deadlands is?
So a blessed character in Deadlands is someone who receives their power, their magic power and ability, not necessarily from God, but from a higher purpose. So a blessed could be a preacher. A blessed could be a voodoo priest. The Native American shamans in this game are considered blessed.
Not quite. They have their own thing in this edition.
Do they have their own thing in this edition now?
Yep.
Well, I lied to you. Man, the more things change, the more they say. I wonder if voodoo is going to get its own thing in a later update then.
Maybe.
Because it was mentioned in the main book last edition, but they don't mention it in this edition.
Yeah.
In the core book. So maybe it's going to get its own thing.
I hope it does.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a blessed essentially casts miracles using the faith skill mechanic.
Okay.
And then narratively, roleplay wise, it's that character has found a higher purpose. They generally state you don't have to, but for most blessed, they generally say it's cool or in character to take one of the hindrances that restricts you somehow. Mm-hmm. So like a code of conduct. For you, Jeanette, right? You have heroic major hindrance.
Mm-hmm.
You've been entrusted with divine power, and you're going to use it for good. You're also loyal. That they're your flock, and you're here to protect them. And then pacifist minor. The good book says, "Thou shalt not kill." It was a mite less specific about kneecaps.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't say anything about hobbling them. Just don't kill them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So that generally, Dan, in a nutshell, that's blessed.
Okay.
Is the classic. It stems from the classic preacher tropes, right? In these sort of adventure games, but not limited to. What else were we looking at, everyone?
So I was thinking of Huckster.
Yes. So Hucksters are this game's version of wizards or sorcerers, and they are. So I'm actually just going to read because the blurb is very nice. You cast hexes gleaned from codes in Hoyle's Book of Games. It's a tricky business and requires gambling with manitowers, dark spirits, for power. But what's life without a little risk? So the whole thing behind Hucksters is Hoyle. Hoyle's Book of Games is a classic poker book, right? All the rules, regulations, different variations on poker and card games and gambling. I believe it was a real book, or at least it's based on a real book that was printed prolifically in the West.
Maybe,
yeah. And then in Deadlands version, Hoyle's book, all of his games that Hoyle wrote, because Hoyle is a sorcerer, he has hidden within basically magical mechanics, spells. So if you have Hoyle's Book of Games, and you're sort of in on the whole mysticism and sorcery thing, then you can begin decoding it and teaching yourself spells.
Great.
Yeah, and that is what a huckster is, and why most often hucksters you'll see in a lot of the art, hucksters use their powers with cards. Not only does it look awesome to be Gambit and just fling energy cards at people, but it's something they always have on hand. This is short on hucksters. Dan, did you have?
Yeah. So my main direction, it's looking like, especially with Jeanette and Wes going huckster in Blessed, I really want to just basically spearhead right towards the territorial ranger edge. And if you look at page 21 on the Deadlands book, the requirements for that edge are pretty hefty. So it's almost like playing a pre-made character, because that's almost getting to those prerequisites.
Oh yeah,
are almost all of my points. I have a little bit of room here and there, and I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of have a little bit of a twist on it, especially since we're playing in New Orleans. My main idea is sort of to play like a disgraced ranger from the Wyoming territories, who was kind of taken off of his like main assignment and sent to New Orleans on like maybe a throwaway mission, or perhaps one of the reasons I was disgraced that like maybe I saw something and I want to go tell the Explorer Society about it. But either way, I've been taken out of my world in open country Wyoming and brought to this city where I don't fit in, and I'm like beyond my jurisdiction as a ranger. But my skill set, I think, is still going to be right there with those requirements.
Yeah,
just a real tough fighter guy, shotguns and fists and stuff like that. So
yes, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, now I have to figure out. Wes and Dan, you're making your characters.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to make a character along with you guys, just to get a feel for the new edition.
All right, let's see. So, first off, Deadlands is only humans.
Yep.
So super easy there. Hindrances. You can take up to 4 points of hindrances. A major hindrance is worth 2 points. A minor is worth 1. So you can mix those up however you want.
Yep.
Gain points from hindrances to purchase benefits for your character. Stuff like you can spend 2 hindrance points to raise 1 attribute by 1 die type on top of the 5 points you've got. And everything starts at a D4. So on this character sheet, you should just be able to just click the die types, and it'll just, that's kind of like the indicator of what die type you're at.
Yeah, it fills it in.
So it goes 4, 6, 8, 10, 12.
Yep. Oh, we should go over, before we get too far into it, we should go over the character sheet, right? And go over all the basic mechanics. Yeah. So everyone knows why they're buying what they're buying, and Jeanette knows what her character can do.
No, that's fair.
Okay. So I'm gonna start at the top left, and just go down and go run through all the basic mechanics.
Are we? I'm sorry to interrupt. Are we able to post the character sheet up on the Twitch? So
that's what I was about to ask.
Follow along. Oh, okay. Sorry to interrupt.
No.
The same thing you were about to ask.
No, it just means, Dan, we're on the same wavelength.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah, we are.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it up there.
Okay. Our brains are melding. I will wait till it's up, and then we can. Oh wait, people are talking.
There are some people talking.
Hi, Elemento. I didn't do it, and it wasn't my fault. Is that one of you guys? Dan, is that you?
No, it's not. I'm the
Nice.
6 of clubs.
Oh, that's right, you are.
I'm Uncanny Adventures.
I was muted.
Nice.
Yeah, it's is no me.
All right. Well, I can go. Well, Jeanette's trying to get that up. We'll go over some of the basic game mechanics. So if you notice on the character sheet, as Wes had mentioned, there are dice next to the attributes and skills. So the base core mechanic of the game is you roll a die and you want to get a 4 or better. And then instead of me setting a target number, like in a D20 system, I may give you negative or positive modifiers as you attempt that. And then wild cards, which are major NPCs and all of the player characters, also roll a D6, and you choose the highest. So if you have an agility of D4, and you're attempting to dodge a boulder, you would roll a D4 and a D6, and you would choose the highest one, basically whichever one came up as a 4 or better. And I believe acing still exists in this edition.
Yeah, it does.
So if one of your dice maxes out and rolls its top score, so if your D4 rolls a 4, you scoop it up, roll it again, and add it to its previous roll. And we're not using Roll20 or anything, so if you guys just want to go grab a dice tray and some dice, I will trust all of you to roll your bones there at your desk. And then, so that's the basic fail pass. Pass. There's also a mechanic called raising. And raising happens, it's important in certain aspects of combat. But raising, a lot of it is about increasing power, right? So spells might do more stuff when you get a raise. And then describing how well you've done something, right? So you'll never need a raise to pass a test, but if someone is watching, right, and you're making a performance type check, a couple of raises will lend to that and sort of make you a better performer, make that performance more memorable. And a raise is every 4 points you roll above that base target number of 4, until we get to combat. That'll be in a second. So for example, you make that agility check, you roll an 8, since you only needed 4, that's what we call a hit and a raise. If you roll a 12, that's a hit and 2 raises. You only ever need the hit to pass the test. Raises just make you look cooler, make you do better stuff. I'm gonna try and keep it as narratively open and as rules light as possible as we play, just so we can sort of get into the feel of the world. So then if you scroll down, you have your specific skills. This is where a lot of your dice are going to be used regularly. You're going to be making a lot of these skill checks. Again, just needing to hit a 4, and then raises will modify things. And then we come to, you'll also notice in this character sheet that there's athletics, common knowledge, notice, and persuasion and stealth. And these are, in this edition, common skills. This actually, so athletics, common knowledge, notice, persuasion, and stealth are core skills, and they all start at D4 for free. And I think this is amazing because I've been a super nerdy long opponent of what I call like skill gatekeeping.
Proponent, I think you meant.
No, opponent of skill.
Opponent. Okay.
Opponent.
I thought I knew where you were going with this. Never mind.
Yeah, no.
Continue.
I have been a proponent of this, but I've been, but I know, like, and Shadowrun is another good example, but it's when the mode of play described in the game requires a skill almost exclusively all the time. So in Shadowrun, which is corporate espionage, every character always has to buy the stealth skill all the time, right? Or every character has to buy perception all the time. It's super useful. Any skill that's super useful that your GM or your friends tell you, oh, you got to buy that. That's like a gatekeeping. That's a shitty mechanic.
Yeah.
You should design that somewhere different. Because now you're just forcing people to waste skill points. But they give you, at least in this edition, they give you those skill points for free. You'll always have at least a D4 in all of these. And I love it.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah, super positive for this edition.
Persuasion, stealth.
Of
course, I moved them all over the place because I was typing in skills while
you typed them all in, didn't you? Yeah.
Because you can't fit all of the skills. Like in the Savage Worlds book, you just can't fit them all in that list. So, I moved them all around because I was just like, I'm just going to alphabetize them. Like, I'm running out of room. Yep. All right, I'm going to have to. Yeah. I guess I don't need to worry about driving. Nope. Let's replace driving with common knowledge.
You put them all in?
I did because I'm a dumbass.
No,
I'm only going to put the ones I'm skilled in.
Yeah.
That's what I yeah.
I thought about it too.
Yep. It's the thing that I did.
The previous autofill generic Savage Worlds character sheet literally just has all the skills listed, which I think is great.
Yep.
But the font is papaya.
And it's like this. Take the background of this character sheet, the border edge background, and make it the whole background.
Yeah.
And how obnoxious would that be to actually use? It's nigh unusable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's okay. Anyway,
it's rough.
Now that Wes and I have whined about our similar aesthetic.
Yep.
All right. So that's where your skills are going to go. All those skills that are already in the character sheet, you can go ahead and set them all at a D4.
2, 3, 4, 5. Okay.
Which I've just done for, I don't know what character I'm going to make. And then across from that, in the center column, we have pace, parry, and toughness. And we'll get to Benny's is going to be a whole thing right above it. We'll get to that later. So pace is your movement. And this game is built for tabletop optional, and they usually use tabletop measurements. We're going to go with like yards or meters. So like pace, every point of pace is about 3 feet of movement. It's about a meter. And I think the base movement is 6 still for humans. And that's mostly used in combat rounds or moments of tense action where you need those beats. Parry is going to be a derived stat based on your skills. And parry is your close combat target number. So in all other cases, right, you're rolling against a 4. In close combat, you're rolling against your opponent's parry. So if your opponent's parry is a 5, you need a 5 to strike. And then toughness is the same thing, but for damage. And the key difference for damage is whatever gear or equipment you use in combat, it will list a damage rating. You're going to roll those all together and add them up. And you're going to want to get above your opponent's toughness.
So toughness is a threshold.
Yeah. So basically, if
Okay.
And how it works is, so how it would go down is, say, Dan, your ranger wants to shoot at someone. Say your ranger wants to punch someone in the face. You're going to roll whatever your fighting die is, right, against their parry. If you meet their parry or exceed it, you connect and roll regular damage. If you get at least one raise above their parry, right, which is 4 points, you get an extra D6 in your damage. That makes sense?
Yes.
Okay. So for toughness, say the dude you're punching is pretty tough. He has a toughness of 6. You roll all your dice together. You add them all up, which is the only instance in the game where you add up all the dice, is typically damage. And if you meet or exceed that guy's toughness, you have stunned them, essentially.
Yeah.
And then every raise you get past that causes damage on the wound track.
Okay.
And if you scroll down and look on the right, you'll see wounds, -1, -2, -3, incapacitated, and then fatigue going up. So basically, I think it's technically called staggered. So the first time you hit someone, they're staggered. And then
I think it's called stunned.
Is it stunned?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Stunned, staggered, stagger, stunned. But so basically you're either relying on wailing on them to get those 3 points down, or really ramping up the damage dice and getting enough raises 4 points above each time, right? Because you can 4, 8, 12.
Okay.
You can get multiple raises just to flatten them out and get them to that incapacitated. Are we good so far? Everyone following along?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool. So hindrances, and then edges and advances. So hindrances are all narrative and mechanical things your character has that technically make them worse. Mechanically, it'll make your character worse. If you just want to, be that min-max type person. But narratively, hindrances make your character interesting. And then edges, and advances. Edges are how you purchase all your crazy powers, special abilities. For someone who doesn't use magic, Dan, like your ranger, there is a plethora of combat edges that will help you fight and shoot better. And even previous edition, the edges were very well balanced. I never thought a huckster, with all of their nukes and spells, I never thought they out damaged a gunslinger or like a melee fighter. Yeah. With the right edge combos, everything is pretty well balanced as far as combat goes. And then slightly below that, powers. That's mostly going to be Wes's thing to fill out, because I think Jeanette's character already has the powers filled out. Yep, you lucky duck. And so really briefly, powers, you have PP, which is your power points. Every time you cast that power, you spend power points. The range of that power, the duration, and the effect. Really, some of the powers have pretty crazy effects, so be prepared to write notes elsewhere.
4. Right.
Yeah, be prepared to take notes, because some of the powers get intense. And then below that, weapons. Right? It is an RPG. It is about the Wild West. It's going to get dangerous. So weapons, you have the range, if any, the damage, which if it's melee, I suggest putting in your strength die plus the listing
Yeah.
of the melee weapon so that you have it all there to stare at.
Yeah, I'll be putting my unarmed
Yeah.
weapon down there just to reference it. So.
Yep. AP is armor penetration. AP directly modifies, if I remember correctly, the toughness of your opponent. So,
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so if you're fighting a giant monster with a toughness of 7, but your super rifle has an AP of 3, you know,
So
now it's tough.
your new damage threshold is just 4.
Yep. Yes.
That's really cool.
Yep.
That's a really interesting way to handle that mechanic.
Yeah, I really like, and it's just quick math.
Yeah.
Rate of fire. So I'm pretty sure this has not changed. Rate of fire tells you how many shots, obviously, you can get off in a single round. Mechanically, you roll as many skill dice as there is rate of fire. So if you have a rate of fire 3 weapon and you have a shooting skill of D8, you're going to roll 3D8. You are going to roll 1 wild die with that. And that 1 wild die can replace the other 3. So if you have a shitty shot and that wild die rolls real well, it will replace one of your 3 shots. That makes sense?
Yeah.
And then weight, and then any notes. And then if you look down at the bottom, there is the butts of some bullets, which I always love. And that's just for you to mark ammo on your favorite gun, which is like my favorite part of these character sheets. I don't know why. It's so weird. That's the basics. Gear is self-explanatory. You're going to buy a ton of gear and write notes in there, and then forget half of it exists, like in every RPG.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Yep. All right.
Hey, I've got a hickory stick. I'm happy.
Awesome.
I'm gonna smack people with it.
Nice.
For chewing on?
No,
I
no.
mean, little column A, little column B.
Yeah. A little bit of both.
You
Oh,
know.
hi Benji. Hi Benji. I'm sorry I didn't see that earlier. All right, so let's get started. It is. Remember what I said a moment ago? It was hot. It is so cold now. Being right in front of the air conditioner.
All right.
Are there, before we get, sorry.
Oh, it's so good. Did Leo try some?
That was the best
What?
non sequitur ever.
Yeah, it's so good. Are there baked goods over at Daniel's right now?
Oh man, did I not mute my mic?
No,
You
did
you
not.
didn't. And now you have to tell us what you're eating.
Laura baked chicken pot pie.
Ooh.
Mother of God.
Really good.
Yeah.
All right, we have to end the stream. We're all gonna go to Dan's and stand
Yep.
outside.
It was nice
It's
meeting you all. Have a
Incredibly
night.
good. She made it for the first time like a month ago, and me and her son were like, we devoured it. It was the best thing I've ever had.
That's fair.
And she was afraid that she couldn't replicate it because she's only done it once. But the second time, it's really good.
That's
Nice.
awesome.
Just as good.
Fantastic.
Well, now I need to get that recipe.
Yeah.
I'll trade her. I'll trade her one of my really dumb recipes for her really good recipe.
Sounds good to me.
Actually, I should just give you guys. My mom makes a casserole out of ravioli. That's fucking delicious.
That sounds good to me.
You
All
will.
right.
I literally just fall into a coma every time.
That's the best way to eat.
Yeah. It's like a lasagna on steroids. Okay. I need to figure out what kind of character. I'm not using the character, but I want to go through it with all y'all. I am human. 4 points in. I like how they make you do hindrances. Was that the same? Do you remember, Wes? Did you do
I
hindrance?
don't know.
I thought it was much later.
Possibly. I don't really know. I'm taking that I can't swim.
That's
New
a loaded
Orleans.
hindrance.
It's a minor hindrance. Character with this hindrance suffer a -2 penalty to the flex skill when swimming, and each inch moved in water costs 3 feet. Inch moved in water costs 3 inch of pace. I presume that's on like a table.
Tabletop, yeah.
Gotcha.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah. See movement page 92 for more details.
So-
on drowning page 126.
I'm gonna look that up right now.
That's in the Savage.
Is that
Worlds.
all you're taking, Wes?
I'm not sure, but maybe
Is it listed as major or minor?
it's a minor.
Jeanette, what are your
Well, so
hindrances?
here's the thing. It says minor, but the description of it is most people in the 21st century can swim thanks to swimming pools, easy travel lakes. Historically, however, those who weren't raised around a temperate body of water could not. So I don't know, like the base assumed thing for Savage Worlds itself, because that's where this one is from.
Yeah. No, I
Is that
think
it's minor?
It sounds minor to me.
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay.
Like you could literally just go. The story could take you away from the river, and then suddenly it's not an issue.
Mhm.
Right.
So my hindrances are heroic, which is a major. So I'm entrusted with the divine power, and I'm going to use it for good. Then I have 2 minor. One is loyal. You are my flock, and I'm here to protect you. So nobody better mess with my flock. And pacifist. The good book says, "Thou shalt not kill," but it doesn't say that I can't kneecap somebody.
Right.
Yep. So.
Definitely
yeah,
the
we
Shepherd
talked
book
about this.
sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
what the hickory stick is for, ladies and gentlemen. I may not be able to kill you, but I got a hickory stick and I know how to use it.
Is the hickory stick statted as a weapon?
Yeah, strength plus D4.
Oh, that's awesome.
So look out.
Dan,
So no, go for it.
Dan, were there any
Yeah,
hindrances?
so I'm actually taking 2 major hindrances, and they're both going to be tied to my background. The first is tongue-tied.
Okay.
Which so tongue-tied is fun for this guy because one of the requirements of being a ranger is that you have a high intimidation, which I have. I've taken that.
Yep.
But my major hindrance is that my adventurer flubs cool lines, goes off on tangents when he's trying to talk someone into something, and generally miscommunicates most everything he says. He suffers a -1 penalty to intimidation, performance, persuasion, and taunt rolls that involve speech. So I'm going to tie this in directly with the event that actually got me like basically kicked out of my home territory. I don't really have it fleshed out yet, but I'm thinking that I really blew a situation where I could have really taken control, and my inability to intimidate the enemies or the opponents led to either some sort of disaster or someone I love dying or something like that. And just making a bad name for the Wyoming Rangers. And that leads to my other major hindrance, which is shamed. Now that's sort of weird because I don't. It shamed is divided in between minor and major.
Yeah.
The minor hindrance says it's more like of a personal thing, where I hate myself for it. Whereas a major hindrance, the deed is well known. I want to treat it like a major hindrance because I would, if someone knew of my station or saw my badge and heard the stories, they would know that I was sort of like excommunicated from Wyoming. But I wouldn't necessarily think it was so famous that like people would like people from the outside would hear my name and know that I'm like some shamed ranger. Like I don't think it's that big of a deal.
No, yeah.
But
Oh,
but I think it's definitely enough where other lawmen who
Yes.
run into me in New Orleans could be like, oh, you're you're that guy.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was about to go with it. Is that if other law enforcement know of your existence, then that's a major hindrance.
Yeah,
because if you try to go get help, they might laugh.
Right. I might, instead of tongue-tied, take hesitant, which might be easier to sort of explain in my background story, where I just hesitated a little too long and let some danger happen. And then I just have to find another minor hindrance.
Yep. Oh, hesitant's cool. Yeah.
Hesitant is cool.
Oh, right. Initiative. So just so you know how it works, if you haven't read it yet, initiative is done with poker cards. And I'm gonna do it right here in front of me. I think there's no really I looked briefly, there's no really fancy app or any Twitch thing to put cards up on really easily. But everyone gets dealt a card, and then you go by suit, you go high to low, reverse alphabetical suit, so by suit I think it is, and then jokers are wild, and then you take combat actions based on card draw. So hesitant is pretty cool, forcing you to.
I'll do hesitant, shamed, and I'm gonna look through right now for another minor because I want 4 points.
You want the greed? The greed.
Yeah.
Man, it makes.
No, I don't want greed.
No, I mean the greed of you, Daniel, grabbing up 4 points.
Oh, right. Well,
but I know you're gonna. That's the difference. I know you're gonna role play it. So.
Right.
So I've got another hindrance.
Okay.
Curious.
That. Mwah.
Hold on. Let me find the actual thingy so I can read it out. So curious. It's a major hindrance. So it killed the cat, and it might kill your warrior as well. Curious characters have to check out everything and always want to know what's behind a potential mystery or secret.
It is the gift that keeps on giving to the game master.
Yep.
I just gotta dangle any little weird thing in front of you. That is, thank you.
And with that hindrance, I think I'm only going to take the 2. Can't swim. That 1 point that hindrance gave me. Yep. I'm going to take. What did I take? I don't remember what I gave it. It was a point though. What were the starting ones? The ones that everyone gets a D4 in?
They've already
athletics, right?
Yep.
Hold on, I'm gonna mark those because I'm gonna forget when I make sure that I did this right.
Athletics, common knowledge, which I actually have to go look up. That's a new skill this edition.
Notice, persuasion, and stealth.
Yep. Notice is your perception check. I love also that the 2 combat skills are just fighting and shooting. So good. Oh, shooting, real quick, because I know some of or all y'all might have firearms.
6, 7, 8.
So shooting uses the base
10, 11, 12.
Target number of 4, and then goes up by 4 for raises. The range that you're firing at, and all the guns will have a range listing, modifies that. So if you are at, I think it does it by 2s. So the first range of the weapon is going to be your normal target number 4, right? I shouldn't say it modifies the target number, but then if you're shooting in that second range band, you're shooting at -2. If you're shooting in that third range band, you're shooting at -4. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But otherwise, shooting is just the base 4.
Yeah. So the point that I use, because each minor hindrance, the 1 point that it gives you, can be used for. So you can spend 1 point of a hindrance point to gain 1 more skill point, and I use that to put my spell casting at a D8. 8. Yep. And for curious, the 2 points, I use that to give myself the edge of power points from the main book.
Oh, to get more power points?
Yeah, it gives me 5 more. Because the hucksters are the ones that start out with the least amount, it looked like.
Yeah, they get
I think
10.
they started out with 10.
They ramped up power points for almost everyone else. I noticed. Like I think Jeanette, your bless starts with 15.
Yes.
Is that right?
My power points are 15.
Yeah. That's so many power points. Well, I don't know what the adjusted powers, how much they cost.
Right.
In the previous edition, 15 points is an obscene amount of points.
Yes, which is why I'm like, everybody else gets 15. I kind of want to go a little bit more powery than anything else.
Okay.
So I wanted to have that extra pool. I mean, I could do the whole deal with the devil, all that whatnot, but I haven't fully read through it yet, and I want to have a padding.
Yeah. Yep. No, that's fair. Also, PowerPoints now come back 5 points per hour of rest.
Yeah.
So they regenerate a lot faster this edition.
Because last edition for Hucksters, it was like 3 points, or no, it was 5 points for every 3 hours of rest.
Yeah.
Some stupid like that. We're like, oh, that's slow.
Yep. Yeah, it was almost advanced D&D slow. Almost.
Yeah, but I think I pretty much got my attributes and skills down.
Wow.
So I gave myself a fighting at a D4, because you don't start with the fighting.
Yep.
I have a gambling of a D6 because it's required for hucksters. That's the bare minimum. I took 1 in intimidation, so that's at a D4. I raised the notice to a D6. I've got occult at D6. I raised the persuasion to a D6 from the base of a D4. And then I've got a shooting at D6, the spellcasting is at D8, and I didn't touch the stealth. And everything else is 0.
As it should be.
That's fair.
Just so you guys know, I was checking to make sure it didn't change. Your parry is 2 plus half your fighting skill. And then toughness is 2 plus half of your vigor plus any armor. In the Deadlands, there is not a lot of armor.
Right.
So if you would like to take a beating, crank up that vigor.
If your fighting die rounded down.
Yep. Yeah, so if you have a D4, then it's 2 plus 2.
So I'm a 4
Joe, I
total.
want to mention something too. On page 105 of Savage Worlds, it gives a little bit extra detail about shotguns.
Oh, yeah.
So shotguns have 3 different damage ranges, which will be important for me.
Yep.
And I also get to add 2 to the shooting rolls with them.
Okay.
So,
and
I can do the double-barreled cool shit.
105, you say?
105, yeah.
Oh, yep. You get more damage dice
at
the different range bands.
6,
Okay. Yep.
3,
I'm also going to
5.
take that heavy sleeper hindrance from the Deadlands.
Okay.
I really love that. That really feels like I'm putting a little bit of Dan into my character.
Yep.
So I really want that.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
I think I get some free gear from my Ranger Edge too.
I think that sounds right.
I would go to the oh shoot, where's that page?
Yeah, I do have starting equipment.
Yeah, there's
Duster. That's pretty awesome. So how does armor work? It says armor duster +2. Does that mean I have +2 to parry?
Nope, it stacks onto your toughness.
Oh, really?
Yep. So it's making that threshold for that damage roll even more difficult to get to.
3 powers.
So like if you capped out your vigor, do they have any limits? I didn't see on having multiple stats at like 12 or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head.
5 points. Each step costs 1 point. So technically, if you had a vigor at D12, that duster, you'd have a toughness of 10.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's
it looks
insane.
like I'm gonna have a toughness of 9 right now, so which is pretty good for starting.
Yes, that is fantastic. Note to self.
My toughness is 5. I'm standing behind you.
Yeah.
My toughness is also 5.
Get a shotgun, the ranger's choice.
All right, so I'm pretty much at gear. Let's start with clone back. Some whatever currency is probably here.
Jeanette, do you have any questions so far?
No, I'm mostly taking it in and looking at my sheet to see what applies to what.
50 monies. 25 to 37. All right, I got 250 monies. What are we getting?
I have the hickory stick. I have a Colt Peacemaker. I have 45 ammo for my Colt Peacemaker. And so I have 50 of those. And then I have my cross and my vestments and a very well worn Bible that I'm carrying. And I still have about $197.
Hey, if you want to buy other stuff, go for it.
I am looking to see if there's anything else I need.
This.
All right, so remind me, single action is a trigger pull also pulls back the hammer, correct?
Yeah.
Because double action would be pull hammer and then trigger release.
Single action, you have to manually pull the hammer back.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's the opposite of what you said, I think.
I can never remember which one is which.
Yeah, double action, you pull the trigger
and it does the back forth.
It pulls the hammer forth.
Yeah, okay.
It's actually, setting rules, guns. I should look into that and see if we still have fan the hammer.
Yeah, fan the hammer's there.
I hope they made it a little better. One of my favorite, Wes was in a game with me a long time ago with our buddy Nick. And I think Nick played a character that only had one arm. And he tried very often to fan the hammer.
Yeah.
And I would just go, how?
Yep.
I mean, listen, he also had said that he only has one arm. Never took the hindrance for it.
Yeah, never took it.
By the end, the last session we had, he's like, "Oh wait, hold on, I can just do this. I don't have anything saying I can't." And we just all stared at him like,
"Yeah,
how?"
That was a very long campaign too. You guys,
this wasn't like a, we play once a week for like a month or something like that. No, this was like once a month for like an 8-hour session for like a year and a half.
Yep.
And just at the last session, he's like, "Oh, hold on. I never took the hindrance for that. So I guess I just have 2 arms."
The entire time. Oh, that man. He does it He's in my Sunday DCC game, and to this day,
You poor fool.
he just goes, "Oh, I forgot this thing." Ah, all right.
Oh boy. All right, what the hell am I buying?
I don't know. Now comes the boring part of the stream or recording, where we just buy things. Dan, where did you see Fan the Human?
It's in the Deadland edges, I believe.
Oh, it's an edge now?
Yeah.
Get out of town. Making heroes. New edges.
Old Thunderer.
I mean, it is a Thunderer.
Lightning?
We didn't talk about what edges people have, did we?
I mentioned mine only because it gives me more power points to work with.
What are your edges?
So mine is the arcane background huckster. That's the free one for human.
That, right. Yep.
And then for my curious hindrance, I took as a counterbalance. I used those points and I took I took the power points edge to give myself more points.
Oh, cool. I'm taking the Ranger as my free human one. And then I'm taking Brawler, which increases my unarmed attacks and gives me +1 toughness. And I'm also taking Martial Artist, which increases my unarmed attacks and increases my bonus to fighting rolls, which is pretty cool.
Oh.
I'm basically just going to be a meat fist. I just want to punch things in the face.
Yeah, no, this Ranger sounds like he's going to be a monster.
Yeah, I think it'll be cool. I almost didn't take Martial Artist because I only have a D4 in Spirit, and I'm like, should I use that extra hindrance to increase that to a D6? But I kind of like the idea. I know this is only one adventure, but if we were doing a campaign, I would really like to spend the time increasing my spirit as we went on, as we advanced in level, or not level, but
as you took advances.
Because my whole idea here is that I'm sort of like a broken spirit ranger, like a ostracized broken spirit. So I think it kind of makes sense to have like really low spirit for him.
Yeah, that's cool. I like where your head is at.
So my pre-gen, I have an arcane background blessed, so I cast miracles using my faith skill. I have bolster. After a successful test, I may remove a distracted or vulnerable condition from an ally. Cool. And I have champion. I am favored by the Almighty, and I add +2 to damage rolls versus supernaturally evil creatures. So come at me, monsters.
That's awesome.
Nice.
That is awesome.
Do I want to take a Derringer?
Yes.
I want to take a Derringer too.
You do.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
I can spell Derringer. All right. Range 3-6-12. Got it.
Yeah. It is a Derringer.
Range be it striking distance.
Yep.
AP nil. Rate of fire 1. Weight is 1. It's $5. Man, money was different back in the day.
Yeah. Yep. Yes, it was.
I need ammo.
I want to talk about money. I had a friend who told me that they were at the gas station. They had to use points to do it, but they were getting their gasoline for 90 cents a gallon. Wow.
That's
like it was Stop and Shop.
Stop points. Yeah.
Yep. But I'm talking like 90 cents a gallon gas. That's like 1987 era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that coordinated to spend that many points,
Well,
you know, on an empty tank. I'm hoping your friend spent it on like an almost empty tank.
I don't think it was. I think they did. They needed to spend them though, because you lose them if you don't
Yeah.
use them.
Yep.
So
Well, then yeah, you might as well spend it. All right. Well, you guys are kind of looking over and buying stuff. I'm gonna go over some of the weirder parts of Deadlands.
Can we take like a 2-minute break first?
Oh yes, absolutely. Actually, very good call. I could use a little break. So that's it. Everyone out. Taking a break now.
Where is ammo?
Benji, if you're still here and you're tolerating us, thank you. You're a sweet man.
Game. Where ammo happen? Where ammo be?
Ammo used to could.
Found it.
Is it complicated? Have they separated all the ammo types out, or is it just generic ammo?
Pistol small large, rifle small large, shot and powder, shotgun shells.
Okay, yeah. We split the difference. That's good.
Pretty much, yeah.
That sounds mostly like the same, like what it was.
That's pretty close. Large caliber pistol ammo, $3 for 50 shots.
Not bad. Chad was watching, but now he has to go take a test. School test. Thanks, Chad. Buddy. Now he's going to be wigged out when he goes to watch the rest on YouTube. And I called him out. All right. I'm going to also take this opportunity to break.
Okay, have fun.
Thanks. There's a whole disaster that is a leftover blanket and pillow fort. Please ignore my back. There's toys everywhere. It was a weekend. All right. I'll be right back.
I mean, anybody who has a pillow fort at the end of the weekend, it was a great weekend. You know what I mean?
Fair. 9.41. How much of this do I want to buy? Ugh. 50 shots for $3. 200 shots?
Whoa.
I don't know how many shots we're gonna do.
I mean,
Shots.
I've got 45 rounds for my Peacemaker.
You only have 50.45s.
Yes.
Okay.
But I also have the Hickory Stick, so
That's true.
I mean,
I also have spells. I can probably get. You know what? Actually, no, because with the Derringer and the Colt Thunder, you use the same ammo type, so I probably want to double up. Let's go with 100 rounds.
Woohoo! I like it.
100 shots is $6.
Nice.
Are you buying? Do we need to buy like boots and a duster and all that, or not really?
Not unless I don't think unless it counts as armor.
Okay.
Yeah, because I assume that like you have clothes.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that would be a question for Joe.
Yeah, I don't know, because I already have my holy vestments, so I am clothed. I don't know about the rest of y'all. I do like all of the options and things that really let you kind of flesh out a very unique character to play.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I know for hucksters, there's one edge that really kind of like changes the way you play. The edge is Hex Slinger,
Mm-hmm.
where the idea is you engrave runes on your gun, and you
Ooh.
use your gun for basically a channel for spellcasting,
Yep.
which basically takes the whole concept and kind of like totally does a not a 180 necessarily, but a it definitely changes the way that you kind of approach your character.
Mm-hmm.
So like you can have the huckster type that I'm going to go with, which is more like a mage, or you can go for like, oh, I etched runes into the barrel of my gun, and
Mm-hmm.
when I shoot using the um like the barrier spell, it's just a shield that pops up in front of me that I can shoot through.
Gotcha.
So, like, yeah, there's some different ways that you can do it. Like, I know the old edition, Blessed had um, Voodoo Priests as like a sub type you could choose,
Mm-hmm.
and it changed what spells were available to you.
Okay.
So I assume I don't know what spells your character your pregen comes with.
Hmm. Is that my powers?
Yes, powers,
Okay.
same difference.
So I've got boost or lower trait. I have healing,
Mm-hmm.
holy symbol, relief, and smite.
Okay, so I know. Excuse me. Um, I don't know about this edition, but I know in the old edition, um, one of the spells that you could take, or one of the powers you could take as a blessed, was elemental manipulation.
Ooh.
Um, you were, however, only allowed to do water and air
Ah.
as a normal blessed. But if you took voodoo, if you went like voodoo priest route, you could use fire as well.
Ooh, interesting.
So it opened up some different like things. Um, but like Joe said, the Native American shaman were also part of Blessed, and they kind of broke them out to their own thing in this
Mm-hmm.
edition. So there might be a thing where like that will be something that's broken out into its own thing for like a more specific setting thing.
Okay.
Like I can totally see, a New Orleans, like here's the Deadlands, New Orleans, like like the setting, like the splat books that you get for like D&D or whatever. With here's some specific to the region stuff.
Gotcha.
So I could kind of see that being a avenue they might go down.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. $6. Did I add that? I did. I've spent $19 out of the base 250.
Nice.
Is that what we get? 250?
Pretty sure, yeah. Let me whoop.
I've only spent 16. Oh no, I'm getting a sawed off. So that's 35.
Yeah, characters begin with $250.
All right.
You can get an extra 150 for a hindrance point, which I'm looking at like the stuff to spend money, and I'm like, that's getting close to like Shadowrun territories of
Yeah.
gear porn. Like buying 5 subvocal mics for the party because you're the only one who thought to buy them.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, there's pretty much no. Those are clothes. Gun accessories. Yeah, I'm not really sure what kind of stuff. Because you can buy a gun belt and holster, quick draw holsters. So I don't know. And Joe might not be quite as concerned with like, oh, it was whatever. You know, if we've got money left over, I'm like, oh, you assume you've got some stuff.
Yeah.
Let me
I got a
see.
question if you know it.
Might.
On Deadlands under the explosives, the 1 to 2 sticks of dynamite in the notes it says MBT, and then in 3 to 4 sticks it says LBT. Do you know what those stand for?
Do not. Not off the top of my head.
Is it a blast radius?
What are we talking about?
Do you know what MBT and LBT mean? They are
Show me where.
okay on page 32 of the Deadlands under explosives. I think it must be blast. It must be like a template.
Oh, yes,
Medium
they're
blast
templates.
template?
Yeah,
Okay.
medium blast template, large
Yep.
blast template.
Yes.
And then a
Yep.
6-foot radius for the 5 to 6.
So, Joe.
Yep.
Since this is kind of like a thing that the game kind of has. For like we've got under common gear boots, hats, dusters, long johns, shirts, shoes. Is this the sort of stuff that like we're assuming that we just have starting?
Yeah, you'll have a set of clothes for free to start with. So you're buying all of that extra is extra.
Gotcha.
For you.
All right, let's do.
Here. I'm going through all the like miscellaneous setting rules now that we need to talk about on the way.
Yeah.
Some of that extra stuff. Fear plays a big role in Deadlands. So I might not mention it all the time. I'm gonna try and sort of keep it under the hood.
Mm-hmm.
But every area in Deadlands has a fear level. And the fear level is basically group superstition made manifest. The more weird stuff happens, and the more people that are convinced weird stuff is happening, the more fearful they get. That weird stuff feeds on that fear, and it becomes cyclical. Does that make sense to everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Sort of.
So let me just, and then, so basically, fear level number 2. Fear level 2. No one goes near the creepy old shack on top of the hill. The land looks about the same, but the shadows are just a little bit longer. It's not really safe to go out alone at night, but your odds are good. This is the prevailing fear level in most places in Deadlands these days. So, as weird and horrible stuff occur, and as everyone convinces themselves that weird and horrible stuff is occurring, the land itself, because it's tainted somehow, feeds on that fear. And the land itself will begin to acclimate itself to those fears. And change shape, and shadows get longer and darker, and suddenly the sun is constantly covered by, hazy clouds, and it doesn't get as bright anymore. Stuff like that. All the way up to fear level 6, which is literally Deadland. This is bad as it gets. Nightmare landscape. Monsters run rampant. Rocks look like skulls, and they just might be. Stuff like that. There's a whole meta magical force going on that sort of feeds on your fears. So that
That's
is
awesome.
yeah. And mechanics wise, that is combated with they're like fear tests. There's a couple different ways. There's fear penalties, all this sort of stuff. But basically, it is a spirit check. Your character's
Uh-oh.
spirit. Yeah. But
Whoops.
also, there. I'm gonna double check to see.
That's my best attribute.
All right, well, I'm basically gonna be Scooby and Shaggy, scared of everything.
I'm Velma.
So there was a skill called guts. So there was a whole skill and mechanic called guts, and I'm actually looking for it right now.
Yeah, it used to be a derived attribute, actually.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
I
Joe.
think they might have just gone down to the spirit.
Oh, here we go. Oh no, that's injury table. Gritty damage, fast healing. Huh, yeah, it might not be in here. All right, I will check the Deadlands and see if it's specific. Guts was cool because Guts was basically a hard counter to the fear. It is an edge now. I hear with this edge, he's learned to steel himself against the horrors that stalk the Weird West. He gets a free reroll whenever making fear checks. I like that. That's much more slick than the whole extra mechanic it was last edition. Yeah, so sorry, Dan.
It's all good.
You'll have the wild die, you'll have that D6.
It's true.
Oh, and you'll also have Betty's. I saved that for later on purpose because Benny's is a whole thing. And because I needed time to come to terms with the fact that they're bennies in Deadlands and not fake chips anymore. And I might be a bit salty about it. So let me.
So in order to spend some money, I bought a lantern, a gallon of lantern oil, some playing cards, and a horse.
I spent
Horse.
$1. I got matches and a harmonica.
Yeah, a horse is a cool 150. Saddle 25 and saddlebags for 5.
Son.
Oh, I should get some saddlebags too. I have a free horse.
Oh, shoot, I think I need to buy a horse now.
How much are the saddlebags?
$5.
Nice.
So, all right. So a horse was 150?
Yep.
All right. I think I'm gonna have to buy a horse. And how much was the saddle?
25.
All right. That's almost all the rest of my money, but okay.
That's fair.
I don't want to be walking after y'all. Like, wait. They left me again.
Yep.
Saddlebags are 5.
Yep.
All right.
Whole bucks catch.
I still got like $13 left. I'm doing good.
Yeah.
Probably buy something to make fire. Does anyone have food? Do we need that?
Oh.
I
Probably.
figure since we're in
Right.
in a city, I got the horses like we're coming up into the city, but I figure if we're gonna be like in the city, even if in the outskirts,
Yeah.
Right.
we'll have the spare cash to like grab something.
Yeah. It'll also let you get around the city a bit quicker. Like if there's a chase or something, or
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's Benny's do so many more things. Wes, why didn't you tell me?
Because I didn't read it.
That's fair.
I mean,
So
I don't know
fair.
what you want me to tell you.
You clever son of a bitch.
I
Touche.
mean, it's the thing I did. Well,
Yeah,
actually,
okay.
no, it's the thing I didn't do.
I Okay, actually, I think it's just like rewritten a little. Yeah, it's all in one place now. Okay, so here's what Benny's. Now, Benny's is slang for benefits. Every character starts every session with one Benny. Unless you take the luck edge, then you start with more Bennies. It might change. I'll get into Deadlands and see if the number of Bennies you get changes. But anyway, here's what you can do with Bennies. I'm just gonna go down the list. Reroll a trait. So anytime you make a trait test, which is an attribute or a skill, you may spend a Benny to re-roll it. The cool part about this, unlike other games, is you get to keep the best roll. So I would suggest if you plan on re-rolling Bennies with re-rolling trait with Bennies a lot, especially Dan with fear checks and your spirit die, getting a second set of dice on hand just so you can keep the first set and compare and contrast. It does also say the only exception is a critical failure, which ends the attempt, and you must accept your fate. So that's still not bad because most games force you to take the reroll, but I like that you can take whichever one's better. You may recover from shaken. So this is that thing we talked about earlier in combat. If your toughness threshold is met or exceeded, but there's no raise, you become shaken. And there's negative modifiers to being shaken. It's essentially you're locked in a stun. So you may spend a Benny. This is an instant and may be done at any time, so not even on your turn, and may even interrupt another's actions if desired. Spend a Benny, lose the shaken status. You may also, before being wounded, spend a Benny to make what is called a soak roll. So Bennies can be used to prevent wounds or recover from being shaken, basically the instant it happens. A soak roll is basically, if I remember correctly, letting you make a vigor check. And I think there's another optional skill. I know there used to be. And you're essentially, instead of just relying on your toughness threshold, you're actively combating the damage that's coming at you. Actually, just entertain me. I'm going to go and see right now. Natural healing, soak roll. After rolling damage before applying wounds, spend your Benny to make a soak roll. It is a vigor check. With each success in raise, reduces the number of wounds suffered. So it's once the toughness check is made, you can start ticking down the wounds and the shaken status by countering their damage roll with a vigor roll of your own. That is what soak is doing. Where are you? Where are you, Bennies? I love you. So you may draw a new action card. So when the game is in rounds, typically in combat, and I deal you out your poker cards and tell you where you're going, you can spend a Benny and I'll deal you another card. This must occur after all cards are dealt and all edges and hindrances are resolved. Only then may players or the GM spend Bennies. Yeah, I get some too. For an additional card, as many as they like. So it's basically 1 for 1. So if you have 3 Bennies and you want 3 new cards, you can just do it right there. And then that continues. So it's basically its own mini version of ante during the initiative step. everyone and anyone enemies. So if I have bennies for any of the major NPCs, we can all just start tossing bennies away and dealing ourselves extra cards into the initiative pool. Yeah, and then initiative goes like normal. Whatever your highest card is going to be the card you use for initiative. A Benny may be spent to reroll damage, including any additional die for situational modifiers. Or like I said, you always get an extra D6 if you raise on the to hit roll, right? So spend a Benny, pick up all your damage dice, sling them again. You may regain power points without resting. Yeah.
Nice.
So any character with any type of arcane background may spend a single Benny and regain 5 power points right then and there. And then the last one, my favorite one, the one I will use the most often on you guys with my NPCs, influence the story. So this one is entirely up to the game master, who may allow your characters to spend a Benny to find an additional clue if you're stuck, come up with some mundane but needed item, or push a non-player character into being a bit more agreeable. So this is the narrative. Screw you, game master. Or like if you think something should go this way, you have a really cool plot point, just toss a Benny and let me know. I'm totally for that.
And how many do we start with?
We will go. Yeah.
I don't know if I jumped ahead. I didn't catch it.
Listen, I didn't either.
Okay, that's fair.
It is.
As long as we're on the same page.
Yeah. Okay, so each players start each game with 3 bennies. Poker chips or tokens. Since we're all playing online, I will let you guys figure out how you want to represent your own bennies, and I will trust you to discard of them fairly.
Do I have actual ass poker chips? I totes might.
I have some poker chips too. And
I have some poker chips as well in the other room.
So bennies reset every session. So bennies are discarded at the end of each session and then reset at the top of the new session. So don't think you're gonna hoard them. If you think you're gonna spend it, always take that. That's what makes fucking Wild West action movies so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then bennies during gameplay can be awarded 2 ways. The game master will occasionally reward players for clever actions, quality role playing in character, or great feats of heroism. I don't always count voice acting or acting in general as good role play. To me, good role play is making a choice, right? Choosing a path or a moral choice, making a choice based on what your character thinks and what your character knows. I don't give a shit if you never, ever, 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 ever do a voice at my table. It's cool if you want to do it. It's cool if you want to get some acting in. But to me, real role playing is
decision making.
Yeah, it's the decision. It's living in the character and living true to the character and making the choices that character would make. And I mean, also be nice to your fellow players. It is a game. That's what my character would do and then screw over the whole party. Yeah. Do not do that.
Right. You actually in character should have on some level concern for the rest of your party.
Yes.
Your actions should never be just, well, too bad. I don't care if you get screwed. If it happens in the terms of playing and something bad happens and you're the only one that gets out, but it wasn't all on you, well,
yep.
You didn't try to screw them over.
Talk for a moment about why that seems to be one of the biggest hurdles for new players to RPGs to get over is wanting to be someone that is cohesive with the party. Whenever I play with new people, I always get a lot of people who are like, they want to go against the grain. Like they want to be that They want to be that bad guy out that wants to PvP and stuff like that. It's
I think it
really
stems.
strange to me.
I think it kind of stems with just because, especially new players, like, if it's their first time playing an RPG, I think it mainly stems from figuring out where the limits are,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and not necessarily because, like, in a video game RPG, that's what you do. You go, all right, where are the limits? Where's the scripting error? Like,
Yeah.
right? And I'm not necessarily saying that it stems from video games, but it doesn't help.
No, I've found like when I've talked to party members who especially want to play like a character that, like, I mean, some people like have wanted to play like a lawful evil character, and it's like, okay, if you want to play that character, that's fine, but even a character that is quote unquote evil can find reasons to work with a group.
Mhm.
And like, I played an evil character in a party of everybody else was good, and their goal long term was they wanted to save the king from this horrible influence of like his personal physician who was like playing him like a puppet. Okay, well, I wanted to become the puppet master. And what better way than to help the good guys get rid of the other puppet master and endear myself to them, so that if I did become a trusted advisor to the king at some point, they also trusted me. Win-win. They got rid of the bad guy and they had their friends step in. So I, set my character, who was really long-term looking for my own payout, to be, we have a similar goal. Like,
Yeah.
we want to get to the same place for the most part.
Mhm.
And then the other stuff, my horrible actions are after story. Once we succeed, that's the like epilogue. Like, here, this is what happened later.
Yeah.
It's something that nuanced is actually a really great storytelling tool.
Mm-hmm.
But what I see more often is someone that's just constantly going against the grain of the group,
Mm-hmm.
session per session. And it's like, first of all, as a DM, it's like, I will totally allow you to do that, but you're gonna have to accept the consequences of like 2 sessions in, when the rest of the party is like, we have no reason to be adventuring with this particular person.
Yep.
Sorry. Like, why would I like, if we're all like law-abiding citizens and we're constantly watching a thief steal from people and like really just going against the grain of the group, there's no reason for that group to stick together.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's
I
one of
think
the
I
things.
think it's important to build your character with, like, force a little bit of cohesion. Like,
Mhm.
force it. Force yourself to be a part of that group, because it's just easier that way. It's more fun, and you don't have to suspend disbelief as much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's weirdly one of the things that I kind of like. Most Star Wars RPGs deal with this, where like, because Star Wars just has light and dark, like a light side and a dark side, and everybody falls into it whether or not you use the Force or not. Most of the Star Wars RPGs have a mechanic where if you do too many bad acts, you fall light, you fall dark side. And if you're in a group that's not going that direction, most of the games specifically say this character will become an NPC. You're going to have to make a new character.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing too, I found when I've like talked to a group about starting a game. It's like, sometimes having to talk with a player and talk out the fact that maybe this character concept is not the character concept for this game. Like,
Yeah.
I know that you have this great idea for this character, but I don't think you're even going to have fun playing this character in this particular game. Like, I think you should step back and like kind of rethink a little bit and work with your team. Like, you work with each other. You can have characters in a party who have animosity toward each other, that have
Absolutely.
like a back and forth. As long as you do have some undercurrent, maybe there's another party member that both of those two care about.
Yep.
And so they may not like each other, but they're both sticking around because this other person is important to both of them. Like, that's internal like structures that help kind of mold them to a common goal.
You know what does that in fiction really well, or I should
Hmm.
say who? Jim Butcher in the Dresden Files
Mm.
gets very very antagonistic characters together and allied with each other temporarily for the greater threat, or for X, Y, or Z reason. So if people have time, those 5 of you that watch this, just take a moment.
We're at 6 viewers right now.
We're at 6. Hi everyone. To just audiobook or pick up a Dresden Files novel. And what was it, Wes? Which was, my brain just totally fried.
Sure.
There was a book.
Yep.
I think
17.
Out of 17. I think it was when he started working with the vampire Thomas.
Yeah.
Before, because later in the series, obviously they hang out. But early on, it was a very.
It's like the third book. I think.
Yeah, it was the third book. Yeah, it's a very begrudging. I guess I have to. I don't know why he's helping me. This is stupid. He's a vampire. But and you get a lot of cool quips and dialogue out of that too. If you can actually play two characters that don't like each other but have to get along at the table, you get a lot of great dialogue.
Yeah. And I think stuff like that is mainly at the table, it's making sure, because characters can be at odds as long as both the players are yeah, this is a cool direction to go.
Yes. Yep.
Then checking in with both players, or both players checking in with each other, are we still cool here? Are we still gonna follow this along, or should we back off? And checking in, because if 2 out of 4 players are going in that direction, it's also checking in with the rest of the table, hey, is this still cool? Is this still interesting? Check in with the GM, because most of the times if you do that, the GM's will me as a GM, I'll be oh, you want to do that, really? Okay.
Yep.
Scribble. I'm for it, but making sure that everybody else at the table is yeah, this is cool. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
Right. I actually played a character in a game one time, and my character and another player's character had a very serious disagreement about an in-game decision. And we took a break, and the player was upset. And I said to her, what's the matter? And she's like, well, you're mad at me. And I was like, no, full stop. I'm not mad at you. Jeanette is not mad at you. I'm not angry at you at all. There is, I was like, no, she's like, you were just angry. I'm like, oh, my character is literally pissed off at your character. I'm really mad because you took my choice out of a situation in character. I was like, as a player, that was awesome. I'm not mad at you at all. It's totally fine. We're perfectly okay. And she was like, oh, she's like, you seemed really mad. I'm like, nope, Jeanette's fine. But yeah, my character, my dwarf, oh, she's pissed.
They call that acting.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Man, secrets. Now we're going to go on a whole big tangent, because Jeanette, you just made me think about the entire concept of secrets in role-playing games. When I was younger, when I was doing this shit, I always thought it was super clever to have secrets. Oh, she's gonna tell the GM, oh, it's gonna have little secrets. And never took, I was hardcore, never met a game if you can't say anything to the character right there about a plan or a thing. You don't fucking say anything. Stay in character. And I fucked up an entire Shadowrun afternoon.
Secrets.
But yeah. Well, no, it wasn't even secrets. It's just, I was doing that thing where, oh, my character's kind of alone, and we have this thing, and I didn't think it was okay for everyone to just talk to each other and sort of meta plan as players the game that we were playing. So my character took and dumped an SUV by crashing it and sort of cleaning it out, and everyone's like, what the fuck is happening? I had this huge long scene of my character doing all this stuff, and the GM's just like, okay, yeah. And everyone's like, Joe, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, I explained it, and they're like, no, you're allowed to talk to us. You don't have to do dumb things because your character can't talk to our character. I think it was like an hour-long scene. This elaborate cleanup job and the whole solution was we had an actual, for Shadowrun players, an actual rigger with like a mechanic shop, and like 15 minutes he could have just pulled the plates, changed everything, but my character didn't know, and my character wasn't there, so I crashed an SUV. Anyway, big team.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I'm really dumb. All right. Does everyone have their equipment well and good in place?
I think so.
I've got $42.15 as just pocket money. Because I don't really know what else to buy.
Yeah, I have $150 left over.
Did you buy a horse yet?
He gets one for
I had
free.
a horse from my Ed.
Oh God, that's right.
Yep. He got a free horse.
I have
And
$16.
All right. Well,
All right. So background details 8. Flesh out your hero's background, their name, a bit of where they came from, why they're traveling out west, or etc. and so forth, what they've done for their whole life. So Dan, you're pretty much on that path. And then go ahead and include in you don't have to figure it out right now. Background can be something we kind of figure out as we go, flesh out as we move along. And mostly, since the one shot, it'll mostly just be for your guys and your motivations for now. But include at the end of your whatever the background you're thinking about in your brain, how they ended up in the Explorer Society.
So I mean, the setting itself for the Explorer Society. Oh, excuse me. Damn it. I don't know if you know, or if like we want to say that these things that I'm about to say are true. Is it like a countrywide thing? Like, could you be from Connecticut, from the Northeast, be in the
Yes.
Explorer Society, and be out west for that?
Yep.
Out west, down in New Orleans.
Yes.
Okay.
I would say the Explorer Society.
Is at the
covers-
very least a national organization, if not international?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, remind me, Dan, have you ever heard of Rippers?
No.
Okay, I'll show you that afterwards. I'll send you a link. It's Deadlands, but in Victoria, England.
Ooh.
Neat.
Yep.
So I ask this because I think my huckster is it's stupid and it's tropey, but I'm from Salem, Massachusetts.
Go for it.
Yes. Lean in.
Yep,
Lean in.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I just don't know a good name.
It's okay. Did you know that you could be pirates right now also?
Yeah.
What?
You could be a samurai. You could be pirates. So around it globally, I was reading this on Reddit.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to find it. Someone was talking specifically about Wild West games. Is that at this time there is a war in Japan, and a lot of daimyos are falling. A lot of provinces are sort of.
I've seen The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise.
Yep.
Is that the same time period?
Yeah. He's
Oh,
a big
really?
war soldier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. So
Huh.
there is actually factual evidence that there were samurai who were Ronin, right? Because they no longer had a master, who left and found work in the West.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
On top of which, there were still mostly Spanish at this time pirates.
Yep.
Piracy was still a big thing, and it was mostly Spanish privateers whose privateer contracts have sort of run afoul, or right, they were losing. Pirates were sort of losing their own frontier, right?
That's
and
neat.
the French pirates were sort of the last holdout. So you could be a French pirate in the Wild West in this era.
That's kind of cool, actually.
That's sort of at like just an old ex-pirate camp. Just the
Speaking of that too, one of my favorite Civil War stories is about a general from the Union who was in charge of shipping supplies in the Southwest. And it was often too hot for horses, and donkeys couldn't. I forget what the deal is with donkeys, but they couldn't rely on them as much. So this general, he was like I forget what they call him, but he was like in charge of like shipping and the hell do they call those?
like a quartermaster.
Yeah, like a quartermaster. He's like a quartermaster general. He sailed to the Middle East and got contracts for camels. And camels worked amazingly in the Southwest. And there was actually like several.
Makes sense.
There were several Union camel brigades, like camel cavalry. But because camels were so unruly, they needed to also employ camel trainers. So they brought back a bunch of like Arab camel trainers and Arab families to train and feed and basically, you know, they were part of the cavalry unit. So in addition to samurais and pirates, you also had like Arabian warriors and stuff as well in the Wild West.
Man.
It's pretty nuts, right?
You could
Yeah. Huh.
Like straight up Persian scimitar wielding warriors.
Could you imagine a Deadlands campaign that was just that? Just those three characters. All right, we're resetting. Those are your three characters. Me. That would be That's dope. I didn't hear about that one.
Yep, that's one of my favorite Civil War stories.
That's awesome. Okay, so we talked about background a little. Your worst nightmare, number 9.
Right.
I'm just going to read this verbatim. Finally, think a bit on what really scares your hero. What's he afraid of, and why? Now think about what kind of dream makes him wake up at the end, or makes him wake up with a cold sweat at night. Write it down. No reason. Trust us. So,
Oh boy.
yeah, you are not obligated to share your nightmare.
Oh no, you're knowing what mine is.
I have to think about this.
Yep.
Mine is just all connected. So
yeah,
to the event.
Joe, worst nightmare?
Yeah.
Witches.
Of course. Of course. Yep.
Yep.
Perfect.
Uh-oh. No, I'm kidding.
All right, that sparked some. Hold on, because I'm gonna be typing a lot, so I'm muting myself.
Okay.
Let's see.
So do you just want us to like tell you out loud?
You can tell me out loud. You can message me. Like I feel like tying back with that whole role playing thing and secrets and stuff. I trust all of us to know each other's
me too.
nightmares and not metagame it.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Which is that's something we can get away with because we're all seasoned players, and it's really nice not to have to like straight up hide that stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Not gonna lie, I love that Wes is his witches because there was a part of me that was considering a witch And I was like, no, no, no. I'm gonna do so. I'm not gonna go there. So that's
That would be
why
awesome.
I snickered at that, because that's funny. Now that would be learning how to balance those two characters in the same party.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that would be fun. To give you some more Deadlands specific nightmares, a major component of the Deadlands lore is something called the Harrowed, and there's even one of the characters archetypes in the pre-gen list is a Harrowed. And Harrowed basically, so I love this description. Oh, what's that?
This is the Harrow deck from Pathfinder.
Oh, okay. So it says, it takes one surly cuss to get kicked out of Boot Hill, but somehow you managed. So a Harrowed character died.
Yes.
You came back from the grave thanks to a Manitow, dark spirit that wriggled inside your mind and body. You get a ton of edges for being harrowed. It is an edge, technically, because you get a ton of bonuses. However, there's also a game mechanic and a narrative ties into the narrative called letting the devil out, where you basically let the Manitow take control, almost like if you are Venom and you just let Venom loose. But every time you do that, right, because the whole reason that dark spirit has sort of hitched a ride and piggybacked on your corpse is it plans on snuffing your spirit out and using the body for itself. That's the whole shtick. And so coming back as undead, and your character might not actually know all the details of what a Manitow is. I don't even know if I'm saying that right anymore. It just sounds like random words now.
It's fair.
Or the term harrowed. You might just know from experience, right, as a ranger or as a preacher or from Salem, Mass, that sometimes dead people don't stay dead. That could be your fear. And there's a ton of there's prairie ticks the size of large dogs and small dogs that latch on and suck your blood out until you're a dry husk. There's all sorts of things to be afraid of. And you can get really gross and specific.
Fair. So I've got a name.
Yeah.
And I've got a slight background that I'm probably going to build off of. So name is Edric Hawthorne. Hawthorne was one of the magistrates who was one of the judges during the Salem witch trials. And my character can trace his lineage back.
That's awesome.
Yup. I Googled it to find out just names of some of the judges.
I would like to ask several questions of you right now, Joe.
Yeah.
First of all, my ranger's name is Morgan Price, a good old boy name. He was mostly a ranger out in the Wyoming territory, which is right near the Sioux Nation.
Okay.
It's pretty lonely out there, so again, he's pretty unaccustomed to city living. I think the background I'm going to go with is I was trying. I heard about some sort of commotion in a small town, maybe over the Sioux Nation border. And since we're tense, but we're on friendly terms, I was allowed to go in there and check it out. And what I encountered was something so horrendous, so overwhelmingly terrifying, that I just froze. And that's sort of where I get my hesitant hindrance from. Is it really shook my spirit? It shook my confidence. It broke me. And because I didn't act, many people in this town met their doom. So I want that to be part of my nightmare too. That whatever this monster was, I don't know what it is, and it haunts me to this day. And I was hoping that I could also tie that into why I'm in New Orleans. Like maybe I've been forced to take some time off from being a ranger. They sent me out of this jurisdiction. They said go back across the Mississippi, cool off for a while.
Yeah, that.
I'm thinking maybe I went to New Orleans because maybe I heard about the Explorers Society. I don't know if I would have went there though, because maybe I'm looking for information about what the fuck I saw.
Yeah.
So I can prove that I'm not just a coward, but that this thing was actually fucking terrifying.
Yep.
And that I can sort of like, like earn my graces back with the Wyoming Rangers by proving this thing was real.
I imagine you went after you were sort of told to take a sabbatical, right?
Yeah.
You were told to leave. You probably heard about an Explorer Society member or a group in your area, and sort of not being able to put that tragedy to rest and not knowing what that creature was. And rangers generally, even though the public doesn't know, rangers kind of know some of the supernatural stuff that goes on.
Yeah.
A little bit. And the Explorer Society definitely hypothetically knows based on rumor. So I would, definitely, you probably went, talked to some of them, described what you saw.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was thinking it would have to be something like overwhelmingly terrifying, because the Rangers do know about, a little bit.
Yeah.
But me as Dan Burnett am at a loss about what type of like supernatural entities are in this world.
Yeah.
So I don't know of something that's like super crazy even for people who believe in the supernatural and who have witnessed it and fought against it. Like, what could possibly be in this world that would have shattered my spirit and broke my confidence?
Yeah. I can tell you exactly what.
And like maybe it has something to do with the Sioux Nation too. I don't know. But if you have an idea for that, that'd be great.
Yeah,
because that fits right in.
Do you want me to just tell you straight up what I think the creature is, or you want to keep it?
I would keep it as long as you can maybe like describe like maybe what I saw. I don't want to know what it is.
Yeah.
I think keeping the mystery for myself would be really cool too, but giving me some sort of info about what I see in my nightmares and what wakes me up in a cold sweat and what it possibly could have been that I saw that froze me up, north of Cheyenne or something. So that would be cool if I didn't know what it was, but if you have an idea.
Yep, I have an idea of the creature. So and it plays into the adventure too, just a little.
Nice.
So I will describe it. So this creature is vaguely humanoid. Sort of this furry, gaunt, tall and muscular creature with these huge elongated fingers and these vicious claws. And its mouth opens sort of extra wide, and the teeth are like daggers, right? Long and sharp and pointy. And it has these baleful red eyes, bloodshot, almost bleeding red eyes.
Yeah.
With this mottled sort of jet black hair, sort of obscuring a lot of its finer features, and maybe 7-8 feet tall, and just almost like stretched, where it has all these massive muscles up on top, but its torso and its stomach and everything just is very thin and sort of drawn out, almost as if it almost looks like it's always starving.
Great.
Yeah.
This is nightmare fuel. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hope you're
in
prepared to sleep tonight.
Yeah. I hope you're just gonna stay up all night.
Yeah, right.
So that thing that Joe just described came at the town, and rather than confront it head on, as a ranger is wont to do, I basically hid behind cover.
Yep.
And watched in fear as the entire town was decimated. And I earned a pretty bad name for myself and the Rangers, and I'm forced sabbatical now. So that's my story. That's Morgan Price.
It was a good story. All right. Jeanette, do you have a story?
I'm working on it, but I have some thoughts. I think that I picked a name.
Okay.
So my name is Sister Ember Wild.
Good name.
Mm-hmm.
Embra?
Great name.
And so I am a nun of the Roman Catholic faith. What is the time of year right now that we're in? Like, what part of 1876 are we in?
God, I haven't even thought. What do you guys want to do? What do you think would be, Jeanette? What time do you need it to be?
It's basically I'm in the city either before or just after the dedication of the cemetery. The what's the cemetery called? Saint Roch Cemetery.
Okay.
It was dedicated in I believe August 1876. And they will actually not the cemetery itself, but the actual chapel at the cemetery. So I've actually came and I'm sort of affiliated with the Holy Trinity Church in the city, underneath the priest Reverend Peter Leonard Davis. So I am that's what's drawn me here is the dedication of this new chapel within the cemetery here in New Orleans.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's real. That's straight out of history.
Yes. Yeah,
I love
that is
that.
true.
Nice.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think that part of my being in the Explorer Society is a wanderlust that I sort of balance with the idea of spreading my faith across the country, and I look for things like this, these events that happen, because a lot of times when something, in my opinion, when something good like this happens, it also can be balanced with evils, and so people of faith have to make sure that they're moving about and kind of protecting these important events. So that's kind of my character's kind of driving force. Now, as far as my nightmare, I have to think about this a little bit.
That's fine.
Yeah. I've got some ideas, but I've got to think on it a little. Let it ruminate, percolate.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for why my character, Edric here, is in town, I kind of feel that I want to say that I've been part of the Explorer Society for a little while, and have just moved, have come down to New Orleans from. I've kind of just been traveling roughly southwest, just going to spots. I think that I'm researching like curses. Like
Okay.
doing research on curses and like local legends on curses and stuff like that. Like I'm actually doing a little bit of I'm trying to do a little bit of research. I don't have any skill in academics whatsoever.
Okay.
I'm like, it's more like a curiosity, but I'm not like trying to make a paper or anything like that. I'm just like, oh, that's really cool. I'm just knowledge,
Yep.
all the occult knowledge because I've got an occult of a D6. So
Smart.
yeah, I'm just inhaling a bunch of occult knowledge based on like curses and stuff like that. And it's kind of, whatever little points of like, oh yeah, this thing happened in this place. I'm like, oh, I should go there, and I go here. Get information about that, and oh, this thing happened there. Oh, I'll go here. Just kind of like following this, and it's not. I'm not doing it well. Like, I'll get to a place, I'll gamble, I'll drink. I'm like, oh, that's right. I'm looking for stuff.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Oh, this is gonna be so good.
And like, also, so my powers, I took Bolt, Elemental Manipulation,
Okay.
and Protection, which is basically gives myself like 2 points of armor or 4 points when I roll a raise on a smarts roll. Fire is what I do. Elemental Manipulation is like I can technically, like the power says you can choose whatever.
Yep.
I'm primary fire.
Makes sense.
Bolt is a fire bolt. Like it's not a moving bolt. It's I make fire flare up on something.
Yep.
Like I range start it.
Okay. That's cool.
So there's no travel. It's not like I'm throwing something. It's just
right. It's the bolt.
Yeah.
Power, but thematically you're like.
Yep.
Combusting someone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and that's one of the things I like about. I have some issues with Savage Worlds, just in general.
Right.
It's not necessarily my favorite, but I'll play whatever. One thing I love about the powers is for Bolt, it says it could be any, like, it does this mechanically. You can determine what it looks like.
Yeah.
Bolt says it does 2d6 or 3d6 on a raise of damage. Damage type, how it looks, all that shit's up to you.
Yep.
Which is one thing that I really enjoy. Because I can go, oh, Bolt isn't like a magic missile or like as a huckster, like if you look at all the illustrations, it's I'm throwing cards. Like I don't have to. I can literally just be a fire starter.
Yeah, that's the trappings, I think is what they're called.
I think that's what they're called, yeah.
Yep. Are different for each archetype, for each background, and can be different within those backgrounds.
Yeah, because like let me look at Bolt specifically. Because unlike the last version of Deadlands, this one only has like maybe a dozen spells in the Deadlands book.
Yeah.
All the rest of them are in the Savage Worlds book. Yeah. So Bolt, trappings, fire, ice, light, darkness, colored bolt, a stream of insects. Like here's just some examples. It sends a damaging burst of energy, streaks of holy light, or shards of matter towards one's foe. There's no range penalties, but the arcane skill roll is affected by cover, illumination, all other usual penalties for like hitting someone. The damage of Bolt is 2d6, 3d6 of the raise, and it's just trappings. I don't know, choose one. Choose how you want it to look.
Yep.
Choose whatever.
It's all, and it's also awesome for GMs for shit like that, because I've had a couple games where people have like start to get wise about mechanics. Like I used to run a lot of public games at Sargent's Comics, and you get people who just naturally metagame. They're there every week. It's not a really serious game.
Sure.
They're trying to pick apart. And trappings are cool for GMs because you can just say, this monster uses bolt, and I'm going to describe it like a giant beam of light coming out of their forehead.
Yeah.
And your players are like, what was that?
Yeah.
What is happening? So
But it's also cool because like no two-player character's version of Bolt can be need be the same.
yes,
So
yeah,
like I
so
can
good.
be doing fire, someone else doing Bolt could be just doing invisible force, someone could be doing holy light, someone could just be doing here's just a swarm of insects.
That's my favorite one, by the way.
That's fair.
The idea of holding your hand out, a swarm of insects leaving it, impacting someone, and the damage is just all of those insects taking little bites out until there's a hole.
Yeah, the Savage Worlds fully customizable magic system is definitely one of its assets.
Yeah.
Because there's different ways to use the power points too. So
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's just like I don't know, it's really, really open ended, and you can basically replicate any power system you want.
Yep.
And it's all balanced. So
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah. it's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
It does get a little clunky here and there.
Does it?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in action really, so
I'll have to read some. So there's, along with all the basic rules we went over, there are rules for chases.
Yeah.
Right. All the standard tabletop RPG tropes. There's rules for chases. There's a whole separate set of guidelines to combat, which we kind of went over. Situational mechanics,
Yep.
modifiers for aiming, all that. So it gets crunchy. Ganging up is a big feature still in this edition. The classic grappling and holding people. Yeah, it can, if you let it, kind of get out of control.
Oh, so not to derail you too much. I scrolled to the elemental manipulation power, and because air, earth, fire, water, it gives some examples of like how you can manipulate each element.
Yeah.
Water, conjure a quart of water. Parentheses, not inside objects or people.
Yeah, that's right.
This is something that they've learned from a lot of time with people at the table, and people like, I'll just make that inside them.
Yeah, I'm just gonna fill their lungs with water. I drowned them.
No blood bending.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no blood bending.
No particularly gruesome versions of airbending where you take the air out of their lungs.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be so brutal.
That's the suffocate spell from D&D.
Yeah.
Or Pathfinder.
No necessary spoilers, but Joe, that comes in Legend Korra season 3, which all the seasons are coming to Netflix soon.
Duly noted.
Yep.
I haven't seen Legend of Korra yet.
I would recommend. I recommend it. This is blasphemy for a lot of people. I kind of like it better than the original.
Oh,
It is not. I like it better. It is not technically better.
Well,
right.
I mean,
you're not the only person I've heard to say that. So
like it has. I think it has some higher highs, but it is not necessarily as consistent. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Because like 1 through 3 of Avatar is like a consistent storyline. Legend of Korra was they made a season and then Nickelodeon was like, "Hey, y'all, make another one." And they're like, "Oh, we didn't expect you to say yes."
Yeah.
And season 2 is a little rough, and then season 3 and 4 are like up here. So it's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think too. I actually saw something about Aang and Korra earlier today on Reddit. I spend too much time on Reddit. Where
I do too. Like this is what I do when I'm waiting for shit to load at work.
Yep. But like how constantly those two shows are compared, but specifically Aang's journey and Korra's journey,
totally different.
And and I'm like, that's what I thought in my brain. I was like, I've never seen Korra, but I should. How can you, if it's written well, which it should be, because Aang was written well, take one character from one generation and directly compare that to another character who's probably dealing with a whole different set of problems.
Oh, absolutely.
Internet, you silly.
Because like original Avatar is you've got the Fire Lord, and that's the end goal.
Yep.
Core is each season has a different villain, so to speak.
I like that.
But they're kind of a little bit more self-contained stories with a through line.
Yep.
So I don't know.
I dig it. Okay.
Also, there's airplanes
Yes.
because they advanced the tech tree.
They should. That's a good way of saying that.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's our characters. Does anyone have anything else to add character wise or any questions?
I'm good for now. I'm gonna read through stuff this week.
Yeah, nothing I can particularly think of off the top of my head.
Okay. And I'm gonna get a document going and sort of flesh out. I have to go track down my PDF of the older version of New Orleans. And I'll write up a document and sort of flesh out my version of New Orleans. Oh, one last question for you guys. Any warning to people who will watch this? I, as a GM, very naturally narrate combat in a very gruesome manner. That just has to do with a lot of the reading I've done. Or I would say very specific. And I'm not just like, oh, you hit him and he's done. Like I'll describe where the impact is, where the blood is coming from, if it gets brutal enough that an arm comes off. So I know you guys are probably good with that, right?
I prefer that. So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I will.
You made that statement. I'm like, not necessarily more than I'd expect. I'm like, you're a little bit more specific.
Yeah. And Deadlands being a horror themed game, I'm probably going to just naturally lean into it.
Sure, totally.
So during combat, during tense moments, there will be some good old style body horror. That's how I do.
Nice.
So for anyone watching that hates body horror, I'm sorry.
We'll have to have a content warning when we start next time.
Yeah. Yep. Content warning. Body
warning.
horror.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Right, I think that's it. And that's all I got.
It was great.
Yeah, I can't think of anything.
So I guess what are we? 2 weeks from tonight, we're gonna play.
Let me check my calendar real quick.
Yeah.
I'm cool with weekly. I'm cool with 2 weekly.
It's just right now I have a bi-weekly game, so.
Yep. Right. So of course it's always me, but I have massage on the 4th at 6, so that's gonna cut right into our game time. It's only till 7 if you guys want to start at like 7:30, but I won't be able to play at 6 in 2 weeks.
Okay, so this is
that's the 4th.
So we'll say 6-ish or 7-ish. Sorry, 7-ish.
7-ish, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. How long are you guys comfortable playing? Do you want to do like till 10, like 3 hours?
10 or 10:30 is as late as I can play.
Yeah,
I can
sounds
push it
fine.
at 10:30. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll write down in here till 10, and maybe if we go a little longer.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right. Deadlands live show. I'm saying it out loud so everyone can hear me say it. So they know I put it in my calendar.
Mm-hmm.
So inevitably, the one time I screw up, I can't be blamed. It was in my calendar.
I don't know if that's correct at all.
I'm trying to make sense. Listen, 10 minutes, 1 hour, 2 days before. Deadlands live show is banana colored in my Google Calendar.
Ooh.
Save.
Get all that potassium.
It's so
Potassium?
bright. Yes,
That's potassium.
potassium. It's very bright. I'm not used to
Chemist, I don't know these things.
Oh God. Speaking of potassium and elements. You guys want to hear a really terrible joke?
Uh-oh.
Yes.
Is it something that we should stop streaming for?
No,
Okay.
no.
You have been warned.
What was Michael Jackson's favorite element on the periodic table? Anyone? Helium 3 times.
Oh my god.
Go look it up.
I don't need to.
Yep.
It's not good.
All right,
But I love it because it forces you to look something up that's that stupid.
I'm on.
Yeah, I think we're done. I think we're done
I
here.
want you to know for
Thank
just
you,
a
Joe.
second.
See you guys.
For just a second, I
Bye.
went to a completely black, silent screen right after that, and then brought it back.
That's fair. Oh. All right. Until next time.
Until-
Bye.
And he's gone.
Oh yeah, he's done. He's out.
Yeah, I knew that. He probably already heard that in a different group chat. So he was probably already ready to kill me.
That's fair. But what are you gonna do?
I'm just gonna tell more stupid jokes. It's really funny when you tell it and then someone goes through all the effort of looking it up
Mm-hmm.
and then they just stare at you.
It's true. All right. Well, on that note, I guess we're going to end the stream.
All right.
This was fun. I look
This was
forward to our live game.
Me too.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.